To begin with, I'd just like to say that it's a great honor to be honored in this fashion with a spot on the Cowboy Walk of Fame. I'm in very fast company with John Wayne and Gary Cooper. I very, very honored to have been thought of for this. I'm very sorry I can't be there in person. I have got to be in Texas right now. My wife is not well and she's in the hospital, but I'm going to answer a few questions and see if I can reach out through the tube and talk to you that way. Thanks very much.
How did you get into acting?
Well, I started when I was 8 years old in children's theater at the Greenwich Settlement House in New York City. My mother booted me on stage and I was playing King Herod in a biblical play for children at Christmas time. And I had the long crepe hair beard and the long flowing robes, and I knew my lines and I hit my marks, and at the end the people clapped. And that really flabbergasted me. I couldn't understand it, but I figured I better learn some more about it. So I started studying acting in my junior high and high school, and majored it at New York University, and I'm still studying it. It's a lifelong study.
What was your favorite role or character you ever played?
Well, of course, the Virginian stands out above all of them, but I love the role of Billy Hammond in Ride the High Country, the Sam Peckinpah Western, and I love playing Uncle George in Pollyanna. At the time, I thought it was way beneath my dignity. I should be playing Machine Gun Kelly or somebody like that, but the fact is that picture is probably one of the most classic ones I've ever been involved in, and they play it somewhere at least once a day.
What were some of the factors that contributed to the success of the Virginian?
Well, we had a 90-minute format, which is the first time it had ever been tried. Two other shows tried it and abandoned the idea, but we stayed with it for 9 seasons. And that allowed our writers to write big, important, juicy guest star roles for men and women. And actors will walk over broken glass barefooted to play a role that they want to play. So we got some of the cream of the crop, the best actors and actresses that ever worked in film came and worked on the Virginian.
What were some of your favorite people you worked with?
Well, of course, Doug McClure and Lee J. Cobb, who started the show, were absolutely monumental people, and Doug went all the way through the show as I did. And he was an acquaintance, and we became friends and then became best friends. So it was a terrible thing to lose him so early. He died in '92. But I loved them all. I loved John McIntyre and Charles Bickford and, as I said, Lee J. Cobb. And
what is some of the best advice you got from someone in the industry when you first started?
Oh, and I was playing a character, the leading character, in a play called If I Were King at University High School in West Los Angeles when I was in high school. And we had a drama teacher named Miss Grace Barnes, and she was wonderful, and she was really very helpful. But I was putting on the show. I was doing a lot of broad gestures and ranting and raving around the stage one day in rehearsal, and she said, "Mr. Drury, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm acting." She said, "Well, don't act like that." So, that one little piece of advice, if you apply it to every other thing you did and put that up as a standard, it really calms you down and puts your focus where it needs to be. We are, after all, people who create the illusion of reality. Acting, by definition, is the creation of the illusion of reality. And any little gesture that's too much or too far out is going to ruin that illusion. So you want to avoid it at all costs.
Can you share a memorable story from your time on a set?
Well, there's so many things that happened that were so memorable and funny, but one that really sticks out. The production company in a particular episode needed a piece of bridge material. They had some stuff we shot over here and stuff we shot over here, but they had nothing to connect it. So the writers concocted the great, wonderful line of having 2 cowboys ride in and having me ride in and face them and say to them with great profundity, I thought I told you to wait at the water hole. Well, we shot it on a sound stage, and it's a slippery concrete floor, and we had to give the impression that we were galloping uphill and down dale to get to each other. And finally we come in and the horses are huffing and puffing and everybody's sliding around on the concrete. And I looked at them and I said, I thought I told you to wait at the water hole. And it became the sensation of the gag roll, what everybody showed at Christmas parties from then on, because it was so funny. We never did use it. They used something else. I don't know what it was. But that was hilarious at the time.
Well, outside of acting, what are some of your favorite things that you do?
Well, when I was doing the Virginian, I was very active in hunting and fishing and all kinds of outdoor stuff. And I did I loved to go to sea. I did a lot of sailing and a lot of power boating, and spent a lot of time in Catalina and around the Long Beach Ship Channel, and was just very involved in everything on the water, as far as I could be. So I kept active that way, but I never had much time to do anything else. The Virginian was a 14-hour-a-day job. You got there at 7 in the morning, and you'd be lucky to get out at 9 o'clock at night, and that was 5 days a week. And the rest of the time, you were sitting somewhere trying to learn all those lines.
What do you think Western TV shows and movies represented at your time?
Well, my friend Richard Farnsworth of Grey Fox fame used to say that the Westerns were our Camelot. It was like the British people like to look back at King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. We like to look back at our period of Western expansion when honor and loyalty and the ability to do the job and the ability to get to where they had to go was paramount, and heroes were created that were able to do that.
What do you think the genre of Westerns could contribute in today's world?
Well, Westerns by definition are morality plays. They must show the triumph of good over evil, and I don't think you can overemphasize that. I don't think you can say that too many times. I don't think you can show that too many times. I think traditional Western in today's market would strike chords in the hearts of people if they got a chance to see it.
Are there any individuals that you'd like to thank that helped you with your career?
Well, I had a very short, almost non-existent contact with Glenn Ford, and we became lifelong friends. I played a hospital orderly in his movie, The Blackboard Jungle. I had a real short time with Richard Woodmark, and we became lifelong friends. Played a cavalry officer in his movie, The Last Wagon, and a Delmer Davis picture. And I had a great relationship with Richard Egan. We did Pollyanna together and Love Me Tender with Elvis. So those guys were very helpful to me and really gave me a feeling of being accepted and belonging and helping in every way I can think of. And then in the management side, I've got to thank Dory Sherry at MGM, Richard Zanuck and Buddy Adler at 20th Century Fox, and Lou Wasserman and Sid Sheinberg at Universal, along with Frank Price and Charles Marcus Warren. And there's so many others that I could thank that were instrumental and helpful to me, from the makeup man to the wardrobe man to the guy that ran the craft service department. They all contributed to making the Virginian the show that it is today, and it has had some amazing longevity. So that gives me a great deal of satisfaction. And after all, at the end of the day, a little satisfaction and feeling like you can enter your house justified as, and that's what I want to do. And I think that I can sit back and say that 50 years later, 60 years later. So that's about it. Thank you.